Where can people find more training on real estate agents? Where can they go to find more training on leverage?
If you go to leverxacademy.com,
Nice.
you'll have access to all that.
Where's that again?
leverxacademy.com.
And so what's going to happen if I'm somebody wanting to see a home and I call an agent? What's going to happen now rather than you taking me out and showing me 3 or 4 properties? What do you think is going to happen now?
You have to have a conversation and you have to sign that buyer's agreement.
How are you going to have your agents handle that conversation? Are you going to have them bring them to the office? You going to have them do that at the property? How are you going to see that taking place?
You could do that in your car. I would have that conversation right there. You have them on the phone. Don't put it off. Have that conversation right now. And it starts with, hey, I'm sure you've heard on the news about the changes in commission. And then they either say yes or no. And they're like, oh, yeah, I've heard that. Well, these are the changes that are taking place because of this. I can no longer just take you out without having something in writing.
So you had some people out there talking, you said earlier in your office about this same thing. What did you tell them, if anything, or what are you going to tell them later? You've been noodling on this, I'm sure, just like everybody else, and you've heard the chatter. So what would you tell agents?
We just had our agents in the office and we were discussing people had different ideas. In the short term, it's going to make it harder for a buyer's agent because then people aren't just going to be like, because before people said the wrong thing. Oh, my services are free. Well, they've never been free. So that's a misconception. So, but that's going to change things around to where we have the right conversations. But so they realize the public just needs to be educated. I've always said that what they don't know is what's hurting them, so most people think agents get paid too much because they're not educated on the process. So if you educate them on the process and the amount of work that goes into it. So we were talking about like, what are you going to say to listing agents? So everybody's, that's the best thing. More than ever, we need to be a listing agent, not just rely on being a buyer's agent. But what does that look like? When you talk to your seller, well, we're still going to say the same thing to the seller. I can market this property for you and I do a really good job of marketing it, but I can show you last year, 87% of all my listings that sold was from a buyer's agent that brought a buyer. That's leveraging other agents.
So as the listing agent, you're preparing your seller for the fact that we need to be prepared to include compensation for the buyer's agent.
Exactly, because I could show you, I have 20 buyers now, and I'm hungrier than anybody to sell this to my 20 buyers. But out of my 20 buyers, I know exactly what they're looking for, and there's maybe 2 or 3 that this might fit their needs.
And now there's a chance that you could have a buyer's agent who doesn't know what they're doing as well, and they've put themselves in a position to only get 2% or something because of their requirement to disclose what their compensation is going to be. Would it be fair to say that, on the other hand, a buyer's agent could stand to make more money now than they had in the past?
I suppose so. That's how I look at it, because people were saying, like, put it at 3 and say we'll do it for a minimum of 2 if it comes down to that. I'm saying, well, why are we saying 3?
You could put it at 5. And if the selling agent's willing to take 1 for some reason or whatever, but you would want to leave yourself the room just in case, because you can't exceed whatever's. You can always go down, but you can't go up.
I'm going to ask you, so you can't exceed that.
That's my understanding.
That's what I've heard, but I said in the meeting, I said, unless you get them to initial it.
An amendment.
Right, just do an amend to the contract. It happens all the time.
I think there's some complexities around how they are going to identify the commissions as closing costs or other items. I think there's some discussion going around that on what's going to be required. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard that part, but that makes sense. They haven't even discussed like VAs and FHA and how that's going to impact that, because they're only allowed to have so many closing costs.
Exactly.